it was such a gift to lose my spot and to be in the position that I was in, because the Lord taught me for almost like the first time in my life to just be happy with my circumstances. What's going on, guys? I have so much stuff that I want to share with you, from Bible studies, from personal experiences, from all that stuff. And I really just feel like the Lord is telling me that, Sam, you need to go back, even though you recorded another part of a video, and just tell people about why you're so happy and joyful for like the first time in a really long time, and probably more happy and joyful than I've really ever been in my whole life. Okay, so there's a difference between happiness and joy. So happiness is just like, this emotion like, oh my gosh, like I'm so happy, like I'm just gonna explode, right? But joy is like, no matter what your circumstance is, no matter what you're going through, you just have this feeling of just peace and joy and just like satisfaction that like, God's got me through this. Like, I know that I'm going to be okay. I know that I can not only live, kind of like I said in my last video, but thrive also. To people on the outside, it doesn't really probably seem like much has changed, like in my circumstances, but really when people say that joy or happiness is a choice, like it really legitimately is. It's so like supernatural, like the feelings that I've been getting ever since I just really said, you know what, God, like no matter what the circumstances, no matter what my pride, tells me, or my ego or my expectations, no matter what happens, that I'm just going to be joyful and just go my absolute hardest no matter what the outcome is. So just to kind of fill you guys in, so I've been playing college basketball for 3 years. I took a gap year, but this year I ended up at a new school with a bunch of guys that I did not know, and I love them all so much. They're honestly like my favorite teammates that I've ever had. I've gotten so close to so many of them so quickly, and I think that there's just a genuine just love and care for each other. And it's been so cool to see, all of the things that we've been able to do, praying together and just hanging out together. And so at the start of the year, I ended up kind of being slotted as the starter. And I put so many expectations on myself, and I was honestly so afraid of losing that starting spot and losing what I felt like was a good position on that team, that I ended up losing like everything, honestly. Like I ended up playing so poorly because I was so afraid of losing stuff and of hurting my ego, hurting my pride. The people back home that support me, thinking that I was a bad basketball player or that I blew it, that I ended up just kind of crawling into a shell. I was like afraid of people scoring on me on defense. I was afraid of being so out of stamina and just tired that I just couldn't, that I just couldn't play. And so really it all kind of reached a breaking point about a week or two ago, when I legitimately, I barely got in the game at all. And when I did, I felt like I just got scored on virtually every single time somebody went at me. And I just felt so miserable. It was like my expectations were so high going into the year. I had so much pride and so much ego. Like, I know who I am. Like, I know I'm a good basketball player. I've worked so hard for this. And it was such a gift to lose my spot and to be in the position that I was in, because the Lord taught me for almost like the first time in my life to just be happy with my circumstances. Like, who cares if people think that you're like the worst player on the team? Who cares if, and I'm not saying that they did or that they do, but, I realized for myself, like, it's not the end of the world. Your identity is not in who you are as a basketball player. Your identity is not in, what your status is. Your identity is in Christ. And I can tell you that once you really, truly accept that, once you really surrender your life to Christ, and tell him that no matter what happens, I'm going to expend 100% effort. I'm going to just give it my all, and I'm going to put a smile on my face, and I'm just going to just give it all over to you. Once I did that, and I really just surrendered it all over to Christ, I just felt this peace and this joy with the whole situation that I just can't understand. Like, I can't explain it. And, my brother and different people, I think, are starting to realize that once I've done that, it's like, I was telling you guys in the last video, and this is kind of like a live, like a life update, like week by week, day by day kind of thing. Because remember last week I was talking about how maybe God won't let you out of a situation until you learn that lesson. Well, I feel like for virtually my entire life, God has been teaching me that if you just give over your circumstances to me, if you're just happy and joyful in whatever circumstances you're in, that you're going to have a much better life than you would if you're constantly waiting for something to fall apart, if you're constantly just terrified of the future. Like, there have been so many times where I've been riding really high and things have been going really well for my life, but I've just been so scared of losing stuff. I've just been so prideful. I've put so much pressure on myself, and I've listened to what other people outside have told me about how well I need to do and how good of a player I am and what I should expect to be able to do. And just finally shutting all of that stuff out and being like, you know what? Everything else is falling apart. I feel like I'm nowhere near where I wanted to be. But I'm just going to be happy and I'm going to be joyful because God has given me so much. I'm in such a good situation if you look at it from the outside. And so I just wanted to update you guys that I've been so much happier and so much more joyful with so much less for a while. And, today I had such an amazing game where, I just I went into it expecting whatever happens, happens. Like, if I get to play a lot, that's great. But if I don't, then, nothing changes. Like, I'm still a son of the Most High God. And, he just poured on so many blessings today, and I had a really good game. And it makes me feel emotional. Like, sometimes, when things are going well, or when, when you're being left out there and you're actually able to play, it just felt like God just delivered me. And even if things didn't go well, just being able to have this peace and this joy, you guys, I know that you've known me for a year, on YouTube and everything, but I have been such an anxious and miserable person for so much of my life, and it's gotten better at times, but just to have freedom from feeling so just terrible all the time. It's just such an amazing deliverance. And if you're still struggling with that, if you still feel like no matter what your circumstances or no matter how well things are going, you just feel this just pit of despair in your heart, just really give your life over to Jesus. I'm not talking about just a surface level faith where you pray or you thank God when you do well. I'm talking about really surrendering over to Him. And when you do that, you're not going to feel like doing bad things anymore. I mean, you'll have relapses. Your flesh is still going to want to do fleshly things, but if you truly have Christ, you're going to be fighting against that, not openly living in that filth. But yeah, I mean, that's my testimony. And I feel like a lot of the time when I really share all these personal details about things that are going on with me, I feel like a lot of you guys can really relate to that stuff. And so I'm going to try and post as much of that as I possibly can. So if you're interested in that, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me to get these videos out to more people. I just wanted to tell you guys that I just appreciate you so much, and you've helped me to get through so many of the difficult parts of my life. And so hopefully I can have some more really positive stuff and just continue to be joyful and surrendered over to God. But I will see you next Saturday. Thanks, guys.